Hello, I've got Ernesto Rijavec here on the line, and he's going to talk to us about what's called the Pachamama Alliance. This is, when I heard of this from him, I basically was astonished because there's the mindset of these many people coming together now that are seeking a change for a positive planet, making the difference and creating the actual mindset which is necessary to educate the people of the earth, because we need to be obviously good stewards of our home. And so Ernesto is going to tell us a little bit about what's called Pachamama Alliance, and educate us a little bit about this movement and how it can make a positive impact, or how we can make a positive impact in the planet today. So Ernesto, welcome aboard.
Thank you, and I'm glad to be here. Ron, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to be a part of what you're doing. I really I believe in the way that you do your helping people deliver their message and things like that. So I appreciate you very much for that.
Thank you.
I'll jump into a little bit about what Pachamama means, how it's come into my life, why I feel it's an important part, why it's driving force in everything that I do, both professionally, personally, and even the things I teach my kids, things like that. So my day job is I work in real estate. I've been doing this for more than 15 years. I have a real estate office with lots of real estate agents. One of my friends introduced me to a company that is advancing the delivery of clean energy to people's homes across the country, which of course, because it's homes and I do real estate, it's something sort of kind of perked up my ear, and I started listening in. And of course, one thing leads to another. And through a company that I discovered through my friend, the company's called Power, P-O-W-U-R. It's almost like power, but it's spelled a little bit differently. I discovered this group, which is a nonprofit organization called Pachamama Alliance, the way you mentioned it. Now, Pachamama by itself stands for, what it means is, it means Mother Earth.
Okay.
And essentially what it is a group of indigenous people from Ecuador and Peru reached out, this is back in the 90s, reached out to the government of Peru and Ecuador, and they said to them, the type of life that you're living, and the type of life that the world is living, is not sustainable. And we want you to help us create a life that is sustainable. We want you to help us create a life that embraces humanity, but also embraces the earth and everyone in it. Mm-hmm. And what they mean by everyone is not just people that are, different ethnicities and races and nationalities. It does mean that, but it also means everything else. It means the creatures. It means the plants and the animals and every bit part of it, because it aims to honor every living organism that resides on Earth, including Earth itself. And I think it's a beautiful place to begin a message from, to begin with. And as I learned more about the Pachamama movement and the Pachamama program, it's something that I've been able to sort of make dear to myself and into my career and the things that I do with myself. In fact, like I said, the things that I end up teaching my kids too. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I believe in it so much is because we are in fact living in a world that is tumultuous. We have problems as a species that are not easy to overcome. We see videos, I hate seeing the videos of animals being pulled out of the water with plastic stuck around their neck and stuff like that. The one thing that I think about when I see that is how many examples are there out there that we don't see the video for, that it doesn't get posted on social media. There must be just countless examples of how poorly our lifestyle as a society, and I'm talking about the whole world, not any particular country or group of any kind. What we've come up with, where are we? And I think that the Pachamama movement helps to open. In fact, for me personally, it helped to open my eyes as to what world and what dream, that's what they call it, what dream are we living today? And initially, when you first get introduced to the Pachamama program, it's something called the Awaken the Dreamer. Okay. And what they mean by the dreamer is essentially us, the humans of the world, the consumers of the world, where, we take a little piece of trash or something, we throw this out and then we throw it out and then we forget about it. But the question actually is, where does it go? It goes someplace. It leaves my life, but it does actually go someplace.
Sure.
And where it goes, it creates trouble. It creates bad environments. It begins to break down. It begins to cause harm. And so, as a society, there's only a certain amount of time that we can look into that and say, okay, this is okay for now, but at some point we have to change our mindset. We have to change our dream.
Well, absolutely. I mean, because you think about how we have gotten in this over consumerism, especially in the West, and we don't even think about, we think more about getting more stuff, but we don't even think about what happens in the process of getting the stuff, how we're affecting the earth and how we're affecting perhaps other communities and stuff. But as far as our consumerism, we're just like buy stuff and throw it away.
Yeah.
And almost to the point where, whether it's plastic that doesn't, biodegrade or whatever the item is, it's just like we don't seem to think or care about that because we're so into our life and everybody's doing it.
Exactly.
So apparently, Pachamama Alliance is kind of bringing that education forward to the globe.
Yes. But even before the education concept is delivered through the Pachamama program, the first thing that it does is it opens our eyes. It awakens us from that, the dream that they call it. And if you really, really think about it, it's a very serious problem because none of us are doing any, we're not meaning to do any harm, but we've just arrived at this lifestyle that is harmful. Yes. So it's hard to, what's the word I'm looking for? It's hard to reconcile because, how do we undo 100 years of industrial growth where we've come in this direction and here we find ourselves today. And how do you ask millions of people mostly in the Northern Hemisphere to change the way they live? It's actually quite difficult to do. And it requires thinking on different levels and thinking about solutions, not pointing fingers. Do you know what I mean? This isn't political in any way. This is a situational problem. It's not a political problem. I think that politics and policy do and will play a role in going forward. But I think ultimately this kind of problem is a grassroots sort of movement where it begins and expands at the level of people.
I like that because you know what? You hit on something really true there because all change that we always traditionally seek is elect that next person into office based on a promise that they're going to
fix our problems.
Yeah, they're going to help us fix the problems, and that never works. The grassroots way today, the voice of the people, the actual action and activity, and if you can teach them wake them up, and I love that name, Awaken the Dreamer. I think that's critical because we're not seeing the issues being taken care of from the traditional model anymore of electing the person that promises that it'll get solved.
Not only that, but what ends up happening, and this is something that Pachamama makes very clear as you become more involved in the process. For example, I've gone through the Awaken the Dreamer, and I've also taken the next phase of the course, which is all free, by the way. It doesn't cost any money. Pachamama is a nonprofit organization. The next part of the course is something called Game Changer Intensive. So the second part of the course is called the Game Changer Intensive. And I've been through that course as well. Then there's a third part, which is a weekend course, which I took as well.
Yeah.
The third part, which is the weekend course, that allows me to actually deliver the beginner's course, which is the Awaken the Dreamer.
Nice.
Okay? But the middle course, the one about the Game Changer Intensive, what I found beautiful about that course is that it doesn't aim to draw lines with people. It doesn't aim to say they're the good guys and they're the bad guys. It doesn't do that at all. When it comes to humanity, everyone is involved. Everyone is a part of the problem and everyone is a part of the solution.
I like that.
And I thought that was really great because in order to make true movement, and this goes back to when Martin Luther King was doing his work and, when different peace workers throughout history have done their work, is they don't draw lines. They don't point fingers. They just say, we're in this together. We have to reach out. We have to reach out. We have to build. We have to build. We have to build across these connections so that we can talk. And that example, I believe, was set early on by the people who reached out to the government of Peru and Ecuador and Bolivia. The indigenous people reached out and said, hey, we've got to work together. You aren't the enemy. We're not your enemy. We need to do this together because we are all worth it.
I like that.
I think that's a really, really great place to come from.
Well, Ernesto, you hit the nail on the head, because obviously, from what we know, the physics of the law of attraction, which basically says that which we push against, or that which we blame, or that which we point our finger at, that we say is the enemy or the bad guys or whatever, the dark side or the trouble. That's when we do that, we essentially make that the bigger problem.
Yes.
We elevate it and we expand it in our lives. And so they obviously, the shamans or whoever, had that mindset to say, let's embrace the world together and let's be the solution.
This is what it's going to take.
Nice.
Is what I read somewhere that, and I haven't read too much about Mother Teresa. I know who she is and I know what she's done. But one thing she did in her lifetime really, really stuck with me. Someone asked her to do a march against war. And she said, no. She said, I'm not going to march against war. She said, but if you have a peace march, let me know and I'll be there. So
nice.
It's like, what a better way to learn these things. And in essence, that essentially is what, because when I got into the whole Pachamama movement early on, as I was learning about it, I realized the Awaken the Dreamer, in fact, is a difficult course to watch. I think you might have seen parts of it.
Yes, I did.
In your career. And it's designed to sort of put the truth in front of your face, without any makeup, without anything. And to let you know, this is where we are. This is how we got here. This is what we can do in the future.
Yes.
What I was thinking about as I got involved was, okay, I really hope this doesn't turn into a political party, because I'm really not that kind of, I'm not that kind of individual.
Sure.
I have the things that I believe in, but I don't want to say that this person or that person, because of how they voted, that they're any different or worse or better than anyone else. That's really not my style, So I was looking at this sort of cautiously when I realized that what they want is to build a greater world for everyone and for everything. What better message is there to get behind?
Yes.
As I've been looking for in my career, like I said, I'm a real estate agent. I'm a real estate broker. I work with people buying and selling homes, and it's all about money and negotiating and that kind of thing, And to me, this is so refreshing to underline everything you do with a positive, powerful message that brings the world forward. It almost sort of completes my professional circle, and that's why it's become a part of me. That's why I talk about it at Toastmasters when we have our meetings. I talk about it here at the office when people want to listen to what I have to say about it. And I'm very thankful for Power, the company, the CEO, for allowing me to embrace that and to make it part of myself. It's really been a great ride. And all of this happened in 2017. So.
Excellent. Well, I can see you're passionate about this. And speaking about talking about it, you mentioned that you're certified to actually deliver the Awaken the Dreamer. How can somebody, and I guess from what I understand, you actually have an office there in Fort Myers where you could bring in a small group to actually go through the entire program with them?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Because I've gone far enough in the Pachamama learning program that I can actually do the initial course, which is called the Awaken the Dreamer.
Okay.
It's a 2 to 3 hour course, and I'm able to teach it here with the help of the Pachamama website and individuals.
Excellent.
And here is basically what here means is basically Southwest Florida. That's where my office is. I have one here in Fort Myers. We have another office in Cape Coral. We have 150 realtors that work for either one of our firms that we have. And this is, of course, something that I'm sort of layering into my life and career.
So you could have a group there. Now, do you go out? Would you go out to a particular group, like say whether it's a Rotary, a Chamber of Commerce, or any group that was like, hey, we'd like to learn about this, or a church or a school? Would you be able to go out to on site and actually present this as well?
I could, yes, and I would, and I could. In fact, one of our real estate agents here at the office is a professor at the local college.
Nice.
And he so happens to teach environmental sustainability. So he and I were chatting about.
That's perfect.
Isn't it? It's crazy. It's again, the universe.
Yes.
And by the way, we'll get back to that in a second, but the Pachamama movement is growing and expanding all over the world.
Okay, so anybody in another part of the country, another part of the world, they could find somebody like you
Yeah.
to present it, or is there also a possibility of going to the website?
Yeah, anyone can go to the website. It's pachamama.org. It's
Okay.
PACHAMAAMA.org. And the whole process can actually start there. Part of the training courses begin online. I recommend doing it in person. I've done it in person, but you can actually do it online as well. And essentially, the whole movement is growing via people like me and volunteers all over the world who are standing behind the message, who are standing behind the idea that all of us can live a better life, that all of us can leave Earth better than we found it.
Yeah.
Like the way it's been for the last 200 or so years or whatever, you know. And again, it's just one of those messages that if I've been looking for a message for my whole life to really stand behind, other than, you know, trying to negotiate, which is nothing wrong with negotiating and making money and doing real estate deals and helping people, you know, make a living for themselves. I feel so much more blessed to have had this opportunity to grow within the Pachamama group and be able to share that passion, really, because that's what it is. It's a passion for a better world. It's a passion for a better life, you know, for better people, for more happiness, for more health. And I just, you know, once it becomes a part of you, you know, this, it's
Sure.
It doesn't change.
Well, we really appreciate, you know, people like you that actually are passionate about making the awareness that is necessary to waken the masses. And, you know, truly, like you said, our lifestyles currently are not necessarily taking in consideration the effect that we're having on the planet that we need, that our grandchildren and our grandchildren's grandchildren need. It's a home that if we don't make the right decisions now to honor the planet in the way it should be honored and educate the masses and awaken the masses, I can definitely see that.
Absolutely. You know, as the more we wait as a society, the more we wait, the more limited our choices.
Absolutely. That makes sense.
You know, one of the most powerful messages that comes out of the Awaken the Dreamer, which, you know, goes right into your face and asks you, once you know the condition of the world, what the world is doing now, most people don't know that we're living through a enormous extinction period. You know, I'm not a scientist, but I know that this is going on because you can read about it, but it's not in the news. You know, we're going through a phase where Earth is losing hundreds of species every month and thousands of species every year. And it's going to be in recorded history, an extinction event. We're living through that, but no one cares, or no one seems to be alarmed by that because we all have responsibilities.
I heard something about it could be our sixth mass extinction.
Yeah.
From whatever, you know, some of them, of course, were meteors that hit the Earth and volcanic eruptions, but apparently, I guess, ours, you know, is directly affected by mankind, causing
very much potentially, yes,
tipping point.
Yes. And of course, you know, it's not ideal. None of this is ideal.
Yeah.
But we're all having here an opportunity to open our minds, expand our minds, and learn what's going on, what we can do. At the conclusion, one of the things that happens at the conclusion of Awaken the Dreamer is they ask you this question. Pretend that one day your grandchild, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12 years old, doesn't really matter how they are. What if they ask you, Grandpa Ron, what did you do when you knew? What did you do when you knew that we weren't going to be able to sustain the type of life that people were having in the 70s and the 80s and the 2000s? What did you do when you knew that?
Yes.
Do anything? Did you try anything? Did you tell anyone? Did you give us anything to work with? And I think about that, and you know, I definitely want to be one of the people that can tell my grandchildren, I did this.
Yes.
I did this.
Yes.
So, you know, when you think about, okay, you know, here we have this right here, the most simple thing in the world. What's going to happen when I'm done? I know what's going to happen when I'm done. It's what happens to every one of these. They're going to end up in the ocean somewhere. They're going to end up in the landfill, you know, and it's kind of sad if you think about it. There's, you know, you walk into Sam's and you see 10 pallets of this that are going to sell out in a couple of days. And we know what's going to happen to them, you know, and I feel very powerless to that because I can take this and put it in the recycle bin, and so can you.
Yeah.
But what is that going to do? Really? What is that going to do? So I think we have to think of bigger solutions, because the problem that's staring at us collectively, our species, in the face, is a 50 to 100-year problem that we may lose control of in that very amount of time.
Yeah.
And so, and again, I think part of the trouble here is that most of us are not scientists. Most of us are not, ecologists.
Yeah.
But, all of us are smart enough to read. All of us are smart enough to make our own minds. And hopefully the message is clear enough and clean enough, and can stay away from the whole political extremists that happen all over the world, where we logical human beings, the ones that are in the middle, the ones that can read and think and, create messages like what we're doing today, actually do something. And I think that's why we're here.
Absolutely. Well, Ernesto, I really appreciate your time on this topic. We can go on, I'm sure.
Yeah, we can.
Quite a bit, because this is such an important thing in this time period to get out into the world. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on today.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on the show.
Now, if somebody wants to find out more about Pachamama Alliance and how they can get you to come out and speak, or or actually be able to, do you have an email or something that you would share?
Absolutely. Yeah. People can reach out to me at, let's go. We'll go with my real estate email. It's the easiest one there is. It's Ernesto. That's ERNESTO at Starlink, STARLINK, and then the word realty.com. It's easy.
Ernesto at starlinkrealty.com.
That's right.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. And that one quote, what did you do when you knew?
That's it.
That is powerful.
What did you do when you knew?
And now that we know, I think everybody who's watching this today needs to go to Pachamama.org, find out for yourself about this movement. Email Ernesto if you're looking for somebody to come in and speak and educate and go through this Awaken a Dreamer symposium. I've actually been a part of watching that, and I think that's truly a message that everybody should see. So, and Ernesto, thank you again for coming on, and
absolutely
appreciate it.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for helping me spread the message, and let's do this. Let's see what we can do together.
Absolutely. Thanks.
All right. Till next time.
All right.
All right.